Hello, hello. Hey there. Always confused which way to look. Wanted to do a quick little talk today, mainly for the um, Chiang Mai conscious community, my home conscious community. Hey, everybody, peace. And greetings, friends. And I miss so much. I have been a year now out of your arms and have missed you. And it's been wonderful to watch all the events and the life that's coming to the community. And it's kind of harder being admins when the bigger the group, and we get all types of folks want to jump in and do their thing, and I don't blame it. I do the same and get in trouble when I've advertised in the wrong place or said the wrong thing or pissed somebody off. So I get it. What I wanted to talk about today was Tantra. And because the admin role has had me really look at who's in the Tantra field today, and because we've had the challenges that happened down in Kopangan with Agama and its new offshoots that kind of rename themselves and repackage, it's caused us to have to be diligent in who's coming in the door. And thank you, community members that stepped up and have brought it to our attention. Now, Facebook allows us to put a warning or pop up when we get the word pops up. And so we want to review that. And I have worked with some really good Tantra providers in Chiang Mai, as well as around the world. And they are members of this group. And so I respect that. And I was like, okay, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, is what I'm trying to say. And so I'm asking for your patience as we may have to review, and I'm going to look at everything. And if you got references, make sure you put them on your page, because when there are no references on your page and recommendations, we will take the it's better to be safe than sorry and post something that we know could be a challenge. So given that, the conversation I wanted to address was the two types of men I've come across in my experience as a dominatrix and as an oracle looking at this from the outside. Now, I took a 1 week course in Tantra, and that was it. And I've read and I've had tantric male partners. And I do like them best, I will say. But here's the type of men I've met who have gone into these areas. And first, let me mention their service to others and their service to self. Okay, the two types, right? Okay, and then it's pretty simple. Um, in sexuality, I look at stages of awareness and awakening. Because my sexuality awoken so early, age of 5, I was like, oh, there's a whole lot more we should be able to understand about ourselves. However, we're not taught it. And so we have to fall forward, discover it in the dark, and stumble and figure it out. And now, because of pornography, online pornography in particular, it has narrowed our focus into just the boom, boom, boom act very quickly. That doesn't talk about the days or weeks of build up to get to that act. But, the plumber walking in the door is not really going to happen that often in your real lifetime. However, it still makes great fantasy. Um, so when you look at stages, there is the first being aware of your own sexual body, and that comes from arousal. As I like to say for boys, it's the Peter meter. When the Peter's meter starts going up, there's something happening. And for women, we don't always are connected to there's going to be awareness. I got lucky. And so it's a difficult issue, but somewhere in their life, there's an awakening that there's more here. The second is how, depending on how that is handled, if there's no shame, then it goes on to more discovery. If there is shame, there's still discovery, but it comes with an emotional baggage attached to it. So if there's abuse in that piece, which is how most young people get exposed to, I don't want to say that's not true. I don't have no idea. Let me not tell that lie. The most reported is the one we hear about is the abuse that happens in childhood unwillingly. Circumcision is one of those abuses, and it's unknown to children of the source of that. So because of that is a source that can be problematic. Secondly, the other issue, or the next level of sexuality, then becomes being able to share it with someone or expressing it in yourself. So let me say, one is awareness of self and it's happening. Two is then sharing it with others. Three, and having a partner, or masturbation is the first step. Sexuality was another partner, the second step. Third step is exploration. So that may mean multiple partners. It may be kink. It may be polyamory. The list is long. Change of genders, changes of sexual preferences, etc. Fourth stage then is Tantra. And so Tantra then looks at connecting the alignments of spirituality, emotional, like I said, the 5 alignments, looking at the 5 intelligences and the 5 brains of the body. But the important thing about Tantra that the West did not focus on, it's there, we just kind of cafeteria style picked out what we wanted to know, is that Tantra really requires that you give 110% in every aspect of your life. Sexuality is just one of those aspects. And so when it has you make decisions about everything you do and the motives behind them, it's a bar that is not raised high enough, in my opinion, in the teaching of that. And because there's 2 types of providers, service to self, which is where you get in trouble, or you get outed, or you piss off somebody and the relationship falls apart, and somebody's going to complain about it because there's money involved. You're a sexual provider, technically by law in the US, and especially in some states, and that would be bring you up in charges. So I look at that bar of manipulation that comes in with service providing and expectations. And when expectations aren't met in a customer service field, that person has a right to complain. And because they complain loudly, and there are websites to do those reference checks and check out those bad providers, I recommend you start using your instinctual intelligence to do so. Because when they are trying to fill the need of an angst, when you are asked a question that gives you an answer of yes and resonates in a pain of something you do not have, that's the hook that they are bringing in, to bring you in by your pain. So identifying with that is going to make you vulnerable to anything you're told. And if you don't have the strengths in your instinctual intelligence, you will miss opportunities of trusting that. And particularly for women who are in their heads and are making decisions by what they want, not versus what is. And because we don't look at it is as it is, but by our desires for what we want it to be, projection, futuristic thinking, wishful thinking, fantasy thinking, whatever you want to call it. But we're not looking at it plainly. And that takes due diligence. And anything you're going to invest money in sex, your emotions are vulnerable. So you have to get your game up in protecting your heart. That said, there are other kind of brothers who are also in this work, the service to others. In the kink community, I call them submissives because they understand giving is their high. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Everybody got to play the way it feels good for them. But there is a neediness that also shows up in that can be draining. And in looking at a provider of a sexual service, an emotional service, an instinctual service, and a spiritual service, you have to raise your bar on your expectations and be very clear about them before you engage. For me, my approach to my work is just simply, I'm here to do the research because you don't know how, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to tell you what you need to know about yourself so you can save yourself some headaches, period. And cool. That's what I want for myself. And so that's what I offer for others. My sexual work is really to talk about the most difficult stuff that we are really lousy at doing: intimate communication, intimate sexual honesty in our communication. And that takes boldness and courage to know thyself first before you can open yourself up to others. And I say, stop doing it so quickly because it don't work so well when you just throw it out there. And the bar we have for ourselves when in our lives of sexual freedom exposes us to the pain of emotional withdrawal and spiritual attacks, instinctual, physical, blah 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 blah. So, because we don't have the discernment skills, and we have to just get better at it. So, you ask better questions, you'll get better answers. So, I just ask you to do your due diligence before you see a post. If we've allowed it on the site, because I know them, or one of the admins know them, or someone we know has recommended them. I see some titles thrown together, and I go, that's kind of what I call new age bullshit, and I want to call it, and then I want to play it. And so it's not a democracy on Facebook, I'll remind you. It's a public group, and we are going to try to play as fair as we can and do the right thing by as many as people as we can, and respect the providers that have done the work. So, love y'all. Thank you for your time, and we'll be doing it again. What else I want to tell you? Oh, I do have to tell you one other thing. The fifth level of sexuality. And I hate to admit it, but the Buddhists were right. But they said it in a way that was not encouraging. And what they said was, it is better to abstain from sexuality, physical sexuality, engagement in relationships. And I used to go, that's just because it's hard and you don't want to do it. But there's a new awareness that I have of that, and it's this, is that when you have learned to experience those, and I think those are important, to go through all of the stages, experience them and understand them in yourself, because it is still always just an expression of you. Whether you're happy in your sexuality or not, that's still you. Your ability to communicate, your ability to find a partner to share it with, and your ability to maintain it and hormonally understand it. That's important, because when we don't know, we're guessing, and we only have somebody else's story. We don't really have the biology and the psychology and the spiritual and the anthropology and the cultural understanding to form our belief systems and understand why the program we are, what we own, or the baggage we claim in our sexuality and our understanding of ourselves. So, I encourage you, please go back and look at my other videos on sexuality and just understand some of those basics of who we are. I try to do it as straightforward as I can and go, all right, you got to understand these things before you want this stuff to work. And I really want it to work for you, because it's kind of cool when it does. But even in the fifth stage, let me finish that off. It is the love that is formed, created, massaged, matured, understood, respected. Finally, you pull up a mirror to yourself and you go, I'm going to love myself. And it's not narcissistic. It is not egotistical. It is self-love as it's meant to be, not needing to find itself in others or outside. Remember C.S. Lewis, when he wrote about the four loves, they were external. They were outside expressions of self. And it is formulated by the story, whenever we're told, it's 2 reasons people come to religion: fear and love. But there's only one reason they stay, and that's love. And so it's the interesting respect of emotional respect that we get from an experience, no matter what kind of love it is, that we seek. for ourselves. But because someone gives it to us first externally, we think it's always coming from there. But when we learn to give it to ourselves, gratitude, baby, gratitude has been like, ooh, like lubricant, lubricant. It has made things blossom without anything, no stimulus required. So I'm happy that my gratitude diet has a kind of a perpetual emotion experience. It keeps moving me forward. I'm like, oh, that felt good. Let's do more of that. And it just kind of propels you. It's just like, oh, yeah, that perpetual motion feels good. So I trust that instinctual. I'm grateful that it's not hard to accomplish. And it's something that we can all do no matter what we got, because it's still each breath we have the opportunity to gain more knowledge of ourselves and the opportunity to um, get a little further in the game, baby. It's the Matrix game. We're here to play and here to win. I have other planets I'd like to explore. I don't know about y'all, but that's kind of my where are you going next? So that's what I'd like to do is go there next. So I don't have much of a voice, so I've got to be sparingly with it. And I wanted to just share this with you and give you what I've been thinking about. I've got a list, but today it was like I need to share. Um, what else I need to tell you? Lots going on in Bilkabama. Wish you were here. It's a beautiful little community like Pi, and it is mountains and green and clean air, sort of, clean water, sort of. Cleaner than y'all's in Chiang Mai, but I got to say. So y'all know, get out smoky season. I hope support Pim and City Life when she's ready to do her work. And get out there and do some recommendations. Get out there and talk to people. Let us know the good that's happening. We need to hear it. We need to spread it and share it because we need to raise our resonance. And don't forget to dance, people. Don't forget to get your boogie on. I love you. Namaste. And I'll be back. Oh, I got a show coming, so I'll be back even sooner than later. Bye.